This is God. Everyone, it's 6 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. Before the council meeting tonight, we have a public hearing, and a public hearing will be held before the city council on the issuance by the city of capital improvement revenue bonds. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this? I can't see the audience.
No.
I assume no.
No.
Nope. Let's go forward with the council meeting. Call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Chris Head.
Present.
Mary Jean Krieger.
Present.
Mitch Magnus.
Present.
Linda DeWalt.
Present.
Bill Boswell.
Present.
Heath Kirkpatrick.
Present.
Joel Williams.
Present.
Wayne Cohn.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Pastor, would you pray for us, please?
Yes, would you stand with me for the prayer and then the pledge? Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to represent the people of Harrison. God, thank you for these positions of leadership that you have put us into. God, we pray for wisdom. We pray that you would guide us. Lord, thank you for Harrison, the great city that it is. God, we pray for unity and peace. Thank you for your protection. And God, may you guide us tonight. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Join me in the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Seated. Okay, we have our minutes from the previous meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Pardon me, who made the motion?
I did.
Mary Jean?
And was that for both sets of minutes or just the one? We got the June 22nd special call that we actually missed at the July meeting. So we need to also approve it along with the July 23rd minutes.
Okay, could we have a motion to approve the June 22nd, please?
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Second.
Joel. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, could I have a motion to approve the July 23rd minutes, please?
So moved.
Second.
Wayne? Okay.
Who seconded that?
Joel.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. Let's move on to department reports. We have Police Chief Grady.
All right, I've got the monthly report there.
Yeah, hi there.
Hello. Everybody have a copy or either have electronic copy?
Yes.
Okay. The first page there, we'll start out with accidents worked. We had 41 this month. Year to date was 231. Pardon me. Accidents worked last year was 160. Citations issued for the month was 217. Year to date's 1368. Last year, same date, 1663. The burglaries are still down. We had 1 this month. We've had 11 for the year. Last year, year to date was 21. Total calls, 1,592 for the month, 9,662 for last year. 11,449. I'm sorry, 9,662 this year, 11,449 last year. If you'll turn the page, there's no report on our school resource officers. They've started back this week. So far, everything's been running smoothly. The next page is warrants. We served 205 warrants in July. Year to date, we've served 1,017. Next page, animal control. He answered 77 calls in July. Year to date, 578. If you'll turn 2 pages down to the bottom where it shows total offenses regarding Criminal Investigation Division. For the month of July, they worked 26 cases. They closed 32. Year to date, they have worked 203 and closed 138. Last year, same period was 212 worked, 240 closed. If you'll turn 2 more pages, go to the community engagement activity. Contact with local businesses 10. Number of people reached 120. Obviously, our COVID issue has a lot to do with that. Unfortunately, COVID has not caused this issue to come down. Drugs seized: methamphetamine, marijuana, heroin, kratom, and pills. Weight of drugs seized: 15 grams of meth, 407 grams of marijuana, 2 grams of heroin. Kratom 52 grams and pills 38. Total value of all drugs seized was $13,889. We had 7 misdemeanor and 13 felony arrests that were made. That's all I have. I was going to have our new K9 here tonight. Unfortunately, his handler is not feeling well, so hopefully maybe at the next meeting I'll introduce you to our new K9. So, does anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Chief, thank you. Let's go to Wade Phillips, please. Wade?
Yes, okay. We do want to take a moment to update council on where we are on the Public Safety and City Administration Building. Each of you that are on site should have a copy of a letter from me giving you a summary of the bids that were received for the first round of bid packages for the project. Those of you that are off-site, I have loaded that up to the folder in our drive for tonight's meeting. I'll quickly go over those. For the structural steel metal package, we received 2 bids. And if you're looking at the letter, you'll see there's a base bid, an alternate, which is to add a 5th fire day. And then we've got base bid plus the alternate. I'm just going to read through these real quick and just give numbers for the base bid plus the alternate, because we are still hopeful to build this with 5 fire bays instead of 4. So for the structural steel, we received 2 bids. Low bid on that was from Davis Construction in the amount of $597,000. For the utilities portion of the project, we received 2 bids for that as well. Low bid on that was also from Davis Construction in the amount of $59,650. The concrete package received 2 bids. And again, Davis Construction was the low bid in the amount of $753,000. Asphalt package, we received 3 bids. The low bid on that was from Hutchins Construction in the amount of $154,550. And then on the earthwork and demolition portion of the project, we received 4 separate bids. Based on the bid opening on bid day, Kirk's Excavating out of Green Forest was the low bid. I do need to, if you all remember that we passed a new purchasing ordinance last year that included a clause to provide a local preference for firms resident within the city limits. This is something that's been enabled by state law. So we've taken advantage of that to give preference to those companies that operate within our city. So Davis Construction was the 2nd lowest bid on the earthwork contract. They have submitted a formal request for bidder preference because they are a firm resident within the city. And so as we go through, the way we evaluate this is our ordinance allows for a 5% preference up to $50,000 for a local firm when compared to the bid from a firm outside the city limit. So if you apply that 5% preference for comparison purposes only, when we're looking at it, that would make Davis Construction's comparison bid at $512,050, which would be less than the than the actual low bid received from Kirk's Excavating. So with them making the formal request and with it meeting all of the requirements within the ordinance and the state law, we are bound to award that portion of the work to Davis Construction. And so it would be awarded to them in the amount of what they did of $539,000 for the base bid plus the alternate. So that kind of covers what we went through as far as the bid, the first round of bidding on the project. We are currently going through a draft of an amendment to the construction manager's agreement, as well as establishing the GMP, the guaranteed maximum price, for this portion of the work. I do expect to have all that in place within the week, hopefully actually early next week, where we can be executing that amendment and hopefully get construction started relatively quickly, now that we've got these bids in and need to take advantage of this good weather that hopefully we'll have after Hurricane Laura's limits move through. But with that, I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay,
All right. Thank you.
Wade, thank you. Chief Lowry?
Yes, sir, I'm here. Council members, everyone should have their, report in front of them, or the Google Docs. I don't have really a lot to report on. The, July was kind of seemed like we're seeing more of an uptick in, car wrecks and accidents like that, especially out in the county. We run several calls in July for that. Community risk reduction, looks like they issued about 21 permits for July, so we're still seeing a lot of activity going on in the city. And like everybody, we've been working a lot on this new building, so that's taking up a lot of our time. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Okay, Chief, thank you. Let's go to Finance. Luke?
Yeah, so I just have good news to report on sales tax. That's the big thing I wanted to touch on, everybody. If I can get control here, share my screen. Jeff, can you enable that?
Very nice.
All right. Everybody see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so great news, of course. For all of 2020, I went ahead and highlighted all the ones in pink are our top 10 months ever. And as far as sales tax, and that's the total that the city receives from city, general, police, fire, and then the county portion as well. You continue to go and you see that the three out of the three of the months in 2020 are in our top 5 even, so the green are top 5. Go to the city, it's more of the same. You can see we received 114,000 compared to 105 last year. So going even further, the county portion of it, it's actually 4 of the months are in the top 5 months that we've ever received. So kind of going back here, again, second highest month ever that we received. So, it's kind of another wow thing. Again, this is for June sales. They reported it in July, and then we received it here in August. But we are up over 8% as far as the city goes, and the county is actually up over 14%. So, again, great news all the way around. You can see we're up over budget by about 170,000. We'll continue to monitor that. As you all know, July is kind of the last month for any kind of unemployment amounts that may be coming to those individuals that need it. But then we're really monitoring August, which we'll know more in October. But we have talked to Walmart here in town, and they are seeing an increase still in their sales to the year over year. So we're encouraged by that. It's not quite as expansive as what they were hoping for, but it's still an increase. So anytime you've got that, especially in this environment, just good news. So just happy to report that.
Any questions? All right, Luke, thank you.
Thank you.
can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Well, the IT department's been pretty busy. We've, besides the day-to-day tech support, we've been replacing some computers and laptops, especially in accounting, finance. Been working, we have a automated attendant now that Chief Grady may have told you about in the police department. That we want to appreciate Bill Boswell for volunteering his radio voice for that automated attendant that we have now in the police department. We can call 741-5463, you get an auto attendant, which sounds really good. And we'll probably cut down on people, the go-between between people trying to transfer calls and get them to the people they need to talk to. We've been working on the new community, not the community building, but the public safety building, and been working quite a bit with some entities out there that for the wireless and the switches, and also been working with them on the audio video, the security cameras, and the data drops. So I've been working quite a bit with that and with the different department heads on that. We've also, I'm also starting to look into phone systems out there where we could possibly down the road look at getting a phone system that maybe will cut down on our month-to-month bill cost and maybe have a ROI in a year where we can cut down dramatically our phone bills for the city. And we've installed some, been working on the disaster recovery plan with, that we met earlier this year on. We're looking at a location for a memorandum of understanding with another location as to the, in case of the worst case scenario of a bad disaster. Also been working on a finance audit on the firewall and with the auditor, IT auditor on that. Been getting quotes and we've got a few, but that's just a few of the things I've been working on, and I would be glad to answer any questions if I may of you all. Okay, thank you very much.
You bet, David, thank you. I see Shonda's with us. Hello, Shonda.
Sorry, I was having an issue with my mute. I will speak in a little bit to talk about a board member confirmation, but I just wanted to let everyone know that we are still operating as we were before the last time I spoke. Our doors are locked to the public, but we are open and working. We haven't issued any vouchers for a while, but we've actually sent some invites out for a meeting next week so that we can provide some additional housing. We also were awarded a $200,000 grant from DHS, the ESG COVID, and there'll be more information on that, but basically it will help those that are homeless and help those that are potentially gonna become homeless, so we're excited about that. And, you know, just doing what we can to keep people housed in the community.
Okay, thank you, Shonda. All right, well, that ends the department reports. Bill Boswell, are you ready?
I'm ready, sir.
Okay, sir.
Chuck.
Jerry Chuck's here. Who's there?
Chuck Eddington.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm sorry. We missed Chuck Eddington. Mike, sorry, Chuck.
Or I'm just gonna say you saved the best for last, Mayor, so it's okay. It's all right. No problem. Couple of things. We are actually gonna be able to host our first tournament this weekend, which will be a baseball, softball tournament since all the COVID started, so we're very excited about that. It'll be a Saturday-only tournament. We'll have 14 teams here in Harrison playing for that. The after-school program started, of course, Wednesday. We were able to hold up to 60 kids with the capacity at the youth center. We have 30 right now signed up, and we've had a lot of calls since we sent out our flyers and been posting on Facebook this week. The one draw to that is we did vote to keep the swimming pool open through September to allow these after-school kids to be able to swim. I know these last 2 days haven't been the best to swim in, but they had a good time today swimming. So they'll be able to swim for the rest of the month in the after-school program. right now, we're doing volleyball, football signups, and recruiting right now for our fall basketball league. Those signups will be going through, the end of next week, and then we'll be starting those leagues the second week of September. Numbers are not where they were last year, which was expected, so we're just hoping that we can definitely run a league like we did in baseball and softball in the summer. So I'll keep you updated on that. The other thing Bo was here last week. We're talking about bringing the parks under the city. Bo had a couple of questions that he couldn't answer that I have got some info for you just to give you some facts. The piece of paper, and I'm going to email these out in the morning to the city councilmen that aren't here. What I did was a projection from 2015 to 19 of the actual numbers of what our allotment and the CATPC money that we get allotted is the total, and what we pay in salaries, insurance, retirement, FICA, and utilities. And as you can see through the years, we started at $822,000 in 2015, all the way to $916,000 in 2019. And our allotment has went from $510,000 to $536,000. So that's about half of what it is to run the utilities and the salaries. So I had the question of, where's the allotment used? It's all used right there to run our facilities and pay our salaries of the people we need to have working. And I did cut a position when I took the job in 2016 out of maintenance, so that we are one person short, employee-wise, full-time, from where we were in 2015. So that has been done just for the information, because those were brought up at the last meeting. Miss Linda called me last week and asked me what my feeling was on parks going underneath the city. So I wanted all the city councilmen to know. That's why I'm here in person tonight. I want to tell you, I'm all for this to improve our programs and our facilities, and working together as a partnership on this. I'm 1,000% bought in. I don't want to see programs get cut, and I want to see our facilities get updated. That's what I'm here to plead to you guys when this happens. I'm all for this. Let's work together to get this done. I'm passionate about it because we've increased programs for not only kids but adults, and I want to keep that going. So that's why I'm here in person, so I can say that to you without messing up on Zoom or messing with my voice or whatever. But I'm very passionate about that, and I wanted you guys to know that. And that's where we're at. And then, we're having a special meeting the commission is on September the 14th to talk about going to an advisory committee and how that'll be structured when we come underneath the city. So we can vote on this on the 21st as a commission, hopefully unanimously, to take it under the city and bring that to the city council on your next full council meeting. So we'll have our special meeting on September 14th, hopefully at 4 o'clock at the youth center pool room. And then we're moving our meeting from the 28th to the 21st, our regular meeting, so we can vote on this before your city council meeting in September. So we can hopefully get the 3 readings in before December, the end of the year. So that if we do this, it will start in January. So me and Luke can start working on the budget together and get it projected out. I think the only other question that was asked that Bo couldn't answer was, did we ask for money or more money every year? And I can say yes, but when I go to talk to Luke, and the city's got a deficit budget and we're in a deficit, he's like, where can I get that money? If we're in a deficit, I understand that. So that's why it hadn't been brought up, where last year I brought up that we went from a $52,000 deficit, is going to be $80 this year. We talked about it, and that's why you wanted me to give you the June report and the December report. So that's what I was doing this year, to keep you updated on where we're at. So that's all I had to say. And I thought, Mr. Boswell, I hope I answered all your questions from the last meeting.
You did good, Chuck.
So that's all I had tonight. So if you don't have any more questions for me, I'm good.
Could I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Do you know how many citizens of Harrison utilize the parks? I mean, do you have any idea how many lives you touch through our parks?
Thousands.
Whether it be direct with the children or indirect with the parents?
I mean, thousands. I mean, we did that on some of the sponsorships. When we sell signage, we had to do a projection off of the kids, how many parents, we did the math of how many parents would come and grandparents. I mean, it's thousands just at the soccer complex, just at the baseball, softball complex, not even counting what we roll in through the youth center with our kids programs in the swimming pool. So, I mean, thousands upon thousands a year. So that's where we're at on that. But I mean, and that's another thing I did get a couple of calls the next day after that Bo was here. I think the comment was made, we just don't have the community support or the volunteerism that we had. So a couple of businesses called me, and I want to say this to them. We do have full community support for our programs and our leagues. We don't have the volunteerism that we used to have for sure. And that's what I want to put out there. We do have community support, as you can see in these financials. $916,000 in 2019. We only had a $52,000 deficit, and the total allotment that we got was $650,000 with CATPC money and the allotment from the city. That's how much we make in our programs and our leagues and our sponsorships and advertisement. So that's a big deal coming from the community. So I definitely wanted to say that and take up for those businesses that do support us on a daily basis. So that's all I had tonight.
Yep. Thank you. Hopefully we'll have some good news next month.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Chuck.
Okay, I think before we go on to Bill Boswell, we have 3 guests with us tonight online. We've got Paul Phillips and Dan Lovelady with Cruz and Associates. And then we have Ryan Bowman, and they're both virtual with us, and they'll interact with Bill, I believe. So go ahead, Bill.
All right, Mr. Mayor, it's a pretty exciting evening as far as the project having to go in regards to our new public building that we're going to build, fire station, police station, and the city hall. Actually, what I want to do is let Luke bring us up to date. Luke, if you're there close, and then we'll get down to the nuts and bolts of the ordinance. I think Luke's got the exciting information in regards to interest rates and things like that. Luke, is that correct?
Yeah, so, again, thank you again. Good news to report. I've been discussing with Paul and with Ryan a lot this last week and a half. Really been working with them. Paul did a great job kind of going through the bond ordinance and how he explained it. We were at 1.98, I believe, a couple weeks ago. And the good news, we are down to 1.78 as far as a true interest cost. So outstanding. We couldn't have asked for anything better when we started this process, and it just kind of went down and down and down. And finally, when it landed on that 1.78 number, we're just ecstatic about that. So they could probably delve into it a little bit more, and I think they probably should. And if I need to bring up some of that documentation on the screen, I'd be more than happy to do that. But again, a big shout out, big thank you to both of those individuals, along with Dan Lovelady, for helping us through this process. Just excited to have them, and really appreciating them walking us through this process, since we haven't had this before, and feel like they just did a great job.
I'm not real sure which one we need to recognize first. Dan, Mitch Magnus and I know extremely well from our years on the Harrison School Board and the work he did to save the Harrison School District millions of dollars over the years. Dan, I'm just going to kind of let you fill us in as to where we are and what's going to happen.
Well, good evening. It's certainly our pleasure to be here, and Bill, thank you very much. We have been very fortunate to be able to initiate some wonderful savings for the school district, so we're very thankful for that. While I was busy on that, Paul Phillips has really been the one who has taken the mantle with the city. So if it's acceptable with you, I will turn it to Paul.
Absolutely. Paul?
Yeah, thanks, Dan, and Luke and Mayor, members of council. It's good to be with you tonight. I know Dan's got some history there working with the school district, so it's good to be back and looking at a different type of project this time. As we've been discussing over the past several months, we've been through a lot of structures and preliminary calculations, and I'm just pleased as I can be that the final structure and pricing of the bonds is better than anything we had ever evaluated previously. But I also would like to thank the mayor and Luke and Wade for all of their work, and Ryan Bowman with the Friday firm. They've all just been a great team to work with, and I think the results bear out their efforts as well. I think probably what I would say to this is that while I'd like to take all the credit, we just really had good timing. Rates have kind of ticked up a little bit here most recently, and we had a really good day, and we had a really good reception. Just to give you a quick overview, that after several days of pre-marketing, we entered the order period at 9 a.m. on Wednesday, and by 10:30 we had a great mix of investors consisting primarily of financial institutions and retail investors. The Harrison name was well recognized and well received, and as Luke mentioned, by 10:30 we had agreed to purchase the bonds at a true interest cost of 1.78%, the final maturity of 12 years. So I was real pleased with that. The terms and conditions of the bonds are laid out in the ordinance that you'll consider momentarily, but on behalf of Dan and I and our entire organization, we certainly appreciate the opportunity to be of service, and we look forward to the successful closing on October 6th. Now, if there's any additional questions before you take up the ordinance, we'll be happy to respond to those, but thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you tell us, with the 1.78% interest rate, what are we looking at an annual payment in regards to that interest rate over the 12 years?
It's about $390,000.
Quite acceptable. Council, any comments? Yes, none.
That being said, Mr. Boswell, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the rules and place the revenue bond ordinance on its first reading by title only.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mitch, and I believe the second was Wayne.
Yes.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mitch Magnus,
Yes.
Linda DeWalt,
Yes.
Bill Boswell,
Yes.
Keith Kirkpatrick,
Yes.
Joel Williams,
Yes.
Wayne Combs,
Yes.
Chris Head,
Yes.
Mary Jean Krieger.
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing the issuance and sale of capital improvement revenue bonds, Series 2020, for the purpose of financing capital improvements, providing for the payment of the principal of and interest on the bonds, prescribing other matters thereto, relating thereto, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Mayor, in addition, I'd like to suspend the rules once again and place the revenue bond ordinance on its second and third readings together by title only.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mitch and a second again by Wayne. Roll call, please.
Linda DeWalt,
Yes.
Bill Boswell,
Yes.
Keith Kirkpatrick,
Yes.
Joel Williams,
Yes.
Wayne Combs,
Yes.
Chris Head,
Yes.
Mary Jean Krieger.
Yes.
An
Mitch
ordinance,
Magnus.
sorry.
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing the issuance and sale of capital improvement revenue bonds, Series 2020, for the purpose of financing capital improvements, providing for the payment of the principal of and interest on the bonds, prescribing other matters relating thereto, and declaring an emergency.
If you don't mind, if there's any other discussion, I would like to allow Ryan Bowman, our bond attorney, to speak on it if he has any other words. We did recognize Dan and Paul, but I also want to recognize Ryan and the hard work he did on it. So if he has any comments or would like to say something, I'd like for him to.
All right, thank you, Luke. Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. It's been an honor to work with the city on this bond issue, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. I believe you had a copy of the ordinance in your agenda packet, and then following the bond sale yesterday morning, I believe that you received a completed copy of that bond ordinance, and so that's, of course, what we are considering tonight. I'll just mention a couple of things in passing, in addition to the things that Paul and Dan and Luke have mentioned. If you'll turn over to it's section 6 of the ordinance, it's actually on page 8 of the black line copy. You'll notice that there are 2 redemption features with respect to this bond issue. The first is, to the extent that the city has more funds than is necessary to complete the project, the bonds can be prepaid prior to maturity on any interest payment date. Secondly, to the extent that you want to prepay the bond issue from any other source, you can do that without penalty on and after April 1, 2026. There is a debt service reserve fund that is being funded with the proceeds of the bond issue. So the bond issue will finance the cost of issuance. It will finance the debt service reserve fund, which is just a rainy day fund that is there in the event that you don't have franchise fees sufficient to pay debt service on the bond issue. Then the bond trustee, who is First Community Bank in Batesville, can use the monies in that debt service reserve to make up that shortfall. There is a construction fund that will be established with the trustee to get money out of that construction fund. The city will submit a requisition to be signed by the mayor and Luke as the chief finance officer of the city, along with an invoice to First Community Bank, and then they will make the payment directly to the third party. So the construction fund will actually be held by the trustee and will be invested per the instructions of the city. So just a couple of things that I wanted to mention in connection with the bond issue. Happy to answer any questions that you might have on the bond issue or specifically the bond ordinance before you tonight.
Okay. Any further questions? Back to you, Bill.
Making, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Hey, point of order, we still need to adopt the emergency
Right.
clause and the ordinance.
That's what I was about to say. I was gonna make a motion that we enact suspend the rules, enact the emergency clause, and motion to
I
adopt.
think that bond council wanted that separate, so if we
Okay.
could make a motion to adopt first, have the roll call, and then move on to the emergency clause.
Okay, then I amend that motion to be only for a motion to adopt.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Paul, Jeff?
Bill Boswell,
Yes.
Keith Kirkpatrick,
Yes.
Joe Williams,
Yes.
Wayne Combs,
Yes.
Chris Head,
Yes.
Mary Jean Krieger,
Yes.
Mitch Magnus,
Yes.
Linda DeWalt.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, now I would make a motion to enact the emergency clause, suspend the rules and enact the emergency clause.
Second.
Okay, we have the motion again by Mitch and the second by Wayne. Roll call, please.
Keith Kirkpatrick,
Yes.
Joel Williams,
Yes.
Wayne Combs,
Yes.
Chris Head,
Yes.
Mary Jean Krieger,
Yes.
Mitch Magnus,
Yes.
Linda DeWalt,
Yes.
Bill Boswell.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay.
Okay. I think that takes care of that. Ryan, Dan, and Paul, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our pleasure.
Big night.
Great night, great night.
Thank
All right, Mr. Mayor, you ready to move on?
Yes, sir. Take it away with the engine brakes.
Okay. Yes.
Since you are not present, I need to let you know that Mr. Boffman would like to speak during this. And I also have a citizen on the phone that would like to speak concerning when you're ready.
All right. Well, we need to, at least get the part here done. I believe we need a, motion to bring it before the council, correct?
Correct.
All right. So I would entertain a motion. Mr. Mayor, that's your call. I'm doing your job.
Do we have a motion to bring the engine brake ordinance to the council?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay. Have a motion by Bill, second by, who was that?
Mitch.
Okay, Mitch. Okay, roll call, please.
So
Excuse me.
I think now we need discussion.
Now we go with the discussion. Yes, sir, Bill. Thank you.
All right, well, since we have Glenn Boffman there this evening, Glenn, just step up there to the microphone at the podium and away you go.
There you go.
Here we go.
Well, the first thing we need to do, I made the deal, brought it up for it to be an engine brake, not jake brake. Second thing is, I brought this up in February. Now then, here it is, plumb into the last of August. You know, I'd like to see this thing get passed for that I wouldn't have to come see y'all's faces all the time. Because I believe that it needs to be passed and be done with. That's a long time, from February till now, that this could have been discussed and put aside and made an ordinance so that some of the people in Harrison, Arkansas, because I will give you an example. On Monday, the 10th of August, from 7:32 in the morning to 11:55 a.m., there were 10 trucks that come down the highway 62, 65, 412, 10 trucks using their engine brakes. And I went out in the yard and I sat there. Some of them was going so fast that they was even passing up the cars. They're not even paying any attention much to the speed limit. And if we had a sign up there at the airport road that they could read and that the police take care of it, I believe we can take care of a lot of that engine brakes that they're using coming down through there. I think that some of them are just trying to do it to get by with it. And we have cities that surround us, like Alpena, Green Forest, and they enforce it. So I'd like to see this thing get done and be an ordinance and for the city to enforce it. Thank you. Any questions?
Glenn, thank you. Jeff, who do we have on the phone that they can identify themselves? And like any other, they have 5 minutes.
Thank you for taking my call. Hello, I am Andrew Hysoff, calling on the proposed engine brake ordinance, obviously. Well, I am not a trucker, a brother-in-law, and a friend are. And I have 3 things I'm supporting following engine brakes. I support the usage of engine brakes when used with properly installed, maintained, and non-modified mufflers, such as a straight pipe. No modifications at all. Number 2, I support the usage when more power is needed to slow down to avoid a collision or hazard. And number 3, I support their usage when going downhill to slow down, but to also save the mainline brakes, the wheel brakes, which can overheat. Examples of 2 somewhat steep hills on the town are Harrison Hill, Business 6265, and the Highway 7 Hill, next to First Baptist and First Christian churches. To conclude, I do not want to see engine brakes, an important safety feature, be prohibited. I would support an ordinance that prohibits unmuffled engine brakes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. We yours right now. You guide us to where you want us to go.
Bill, can we ask Glenn to come back up for a minute? I'd like to ask him a question.
I'm here.
Glenn, do you, you heard the gentleman say that he would support an ordinance allowing muffled engine brakes. Is that something you'd be okay with?
Well, if that's all I can get out of this, I'd have to take it.
I thought that's kind of where you would go. Okay, thank you, Glenn. Bill, I'm going to give that back to you, and I don't know if it needs to go back to committee, but the committee definitely needs to discuss it. So
probably going to need some sort of advice, legal advice, expertise advice in regards to the muffled engine brakes. I have driven vehicles with, and I also understand we need to remove the term Jake brake from our ordinance no matter where it is.
Sure.
Grant had informed me of that earlier today. The Jake brake piece just needs to come out. It's engine brakes. Yes.
I'd like to recommend that we just table this and send it back to committee for discussion.
Okay.
I rescind my second.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Mayor, I think we're going back to committee with it.
Okay, good.
All right. I feel like Paul Harvey, page 3.
Business license.
Mr. Mayor, make
This
this.
is the second reading on the business license, Mr. Mayor. I think it's important before taking the action, we make sure that everybody understands this business license does not go into effect until January 1 of 2021. Once this has taken place. And Mr. Mayor, this would be on its second reading this evening. So if you need a motion, I'll make a motion in regards to approving the business license.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Should the motion, excuse me, point of order, should the motion not be stated as we need to place it on its second reading by title only, suspend the rules?
Thank you, Mitch.
You're welcome.
So I will amend my motion to place it on its second reading, title only.
And suspend the rules.
Suspend the rules.
Second.
Okay, we still have that motion and that second. Roll call.
I'm sorry, who was the second?
That was me. He.
Any further discussion on business license? Okay, roll call, please.
Joel Williams,
Yes.
Wayne Combs,
Yes.
Chris Head,
Yes.
Mary Jean Krieger,
Yes.
Mitch Magnus,
Yes.
Linda DeWald,
Yeah.
Bill Boswell,
Yes.
Keith Kirkpatrick.
Yes.
Motion carries.
An ordinance to repeal and replace ordinance number 1452 of the City Code of Harrison, Arkansas regarding the city business license.
Do its third. Bill, here's your favorite.
I do have a question on this for Grant, if he's listening. This is an ordinance amending a section. It's not really a full ordinance. Can we go ahead and finish and wrap this up this evening?
Yeah, the council can do whatever it likes. It's on its second reading now, so if you wanted to finish it, you would need to place it on its second and third reading by title only and have a motion to suspend the rules with that, but certainly it can be done. It's an ordinance like any other.
I will go ahead and make the motion to suspend the rules, place this ordinance amendment on its second and third reading by title only.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on dog defecation? All right. Roll call, please.
Wayne Coe,
Yes.
Chris Head,
Yes.
Mary Jean Krieger,
Yes.
Mitch Magnus,
Yes.
Linda Wall,
Yes.
Bill Boswell,
Yes.
Heath Kirkpatrick,
Yes.
Joel Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
An ordinance amending
Do
section.
we need to grant, do we need to declare an emergency?
Well, he needs to read it first.
My bad, I'm sorry.
An ordinance amending section 6.04.01 of ordinance number 1437.
Make a motion to adopt. Second.
Okay. Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris Head,
Yes.
Mary Jean Krieger,
Yes.
Mitch Magnus,
Yes.
Linda Wall,
Yes.
Bill Boswell,
Yes.
Heath Kirkpatrick,
Yes.
Joel Williams,
Yes.
Wayne Coe.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Mr. Mayor, this is Mitch. Is there really any need to have an emergency on a dog defecation ordinance?
That's your call. Grant?
It's not a legal question,
By the way, Grant is in the building, I believe. Is that correct, Grant?
Yes. That's right.
He's in council chambers.
We've already
I'm hiding in the
suspended the rules and read the title.
Yeah, that's what I started to say.
So we need to do it.
Yep, I make a motion, we suspend the rules and enact an emergency clause.
Second.
Okay, we have that motion and a second. Roll call, Jeff?
Mary Jean Krieger,
Yes.
Mitch Magnus,
Yes.
Linda Wall,
Yes.
Bill Boswell,
Yes.
Heath Kirkpatrick,
Yes.
Joel Williams,
Yes.
Wayne Coe,
Yes.
Chris Head.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. On to the next three, you can pretty well wipe out tonight, Bill.
All right, the next one, Wade, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Let's get the, I'll make a motion to suspend the rules, place this ordinance on its first reading by title only.
This is a
Just one reading.
ordinance,
So first and only.
Okay, we still need to get it on the table so we can discuss it.
Okay. Second.
So I'll make a motion, we suspend the rules.
I second that.
I'm sorry, I couldn't tell who did the second.
Mitch.
Mitch.
Thank you.
what are we suspending the rules for?
We don't need to.
This is a one-read ordinance.
But we're suspending it to put it on by title only.
Okay.
Unless you.
Wade?
Yes, sir.
Again, as I said, when we discussed this in committee, just a point of reference that I will declare transparency on this. I am allowed to vote, but my brother-in-law does own this company, so.
Yes.
I will stay quiet and let you talk and let anyone ask questions that would wish.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman. The ordinance before you is simply to waive the bidding requirements.
What?
Can you hear me?
Council?
Yeah.
I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Yeah, okay. What happened to Wade?
He's there.
Bill, can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Council can hear Wade.
All right, I'll start back over real quick. It's a simple ordinance to waive the standard bidding requirements for any purchase that's over, it's $20,000 or more. In this case, it doesn't really benefit us to put this out to a formal bid because there's really only one company that does thermoplastic type stripping in this area. And so we are asking to waive the bidding and to award the work to Time Striping for the unit prices that are included in their proposal. I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
We absolutely need some street striped badly,
Yes.
very much needed. Okay. No further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mitch Magnus,
Yes.
Linda DeWalt,
Yes.
Bill Boswell,
Yes.
Keith Kirkpatrick,
Yes.
Joe Williams,
Yes.
Wayne Combs,
Yes.
Chris Head,
Yes.
Mary Jean Krieger.
Yes.
Motion carried.
An ordinance waiving competitive bidding requirements and authorizing the Harrison Department of Public Works to enter into an agreement with Time Striping Inc. pavement marking services on various city streets.
Bill?
Okay. That takes care of that one, correct, Grant? We just need, one vote on that?
That's right.
Is there a motion to adopt? Need a motion to adopt, so I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay. Have a motion and a second. Roll call, Jeff, please. Hello, Jeff.
Wake up, Jeff.
My mute didn't work. Linda DeWalt,
Yes.
Bill Boswell,
Yes.
Keith Kirkpatrick,
Yes.
Joe Williams,
Yes.
Wayne Combs,
Yes.
Chris Head,
Yes.
Mary Jean Krieger,
Yes.
Mitch Magnus.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay.
All right, the next item we have, Mr. Mayor, is the residential rental permit requirement, its third reading. I would make a motion that we suspend the rules, place it for its third reading by title only.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second by Wayne. Discussion on the rental permit.
Mr. Mayor, I know that Mark Lowry and some of the individuals in this industry have had discussions, and I trust that we've made the appropriate changes. I've received calls in regard to this, even from a former mayor, and I think that this will pass muster for everybody concerned. I will go back to the original discussion when we put this together. As a sitting city council member, I felt it an obligation that we do something regardless after the incident that happened at the apartment behind the Dollar General on the square. So I am fully in support of this, and I appreciate all the work that everyone put into it.
Yeah, it's been a while in the coming, so thank you all. This will end it tonight. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call, please. Jeff?
Bill Boswell,
Yes.
Keith Kirkpatrick,
Yes.
Joe Williams,
Yes.
Wayne Combs,
Yes.
Chris Head,
Yes.
Mary Jean Krieger,
Yes.
Mitch Magnus,
Yes.
Linda DeWalt.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay,
Do we need to move for adoption?
Make a motion to adopt.
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt. Jeff, roll call, please.
Keith Kirkpatrick,
Yes.
Joe Williams,
Yes.
Wayne Combs,
Yes.
Chris Head,
Yes.
Mary Jean Krieger,
Yes.
Mitch Magnus,
Yes.
Linda DeWalt,
Yes.
Bill Boswell.
Yes.
And I will read the ordinance because I think I did it before. So an ordinance adopting residential rental permit requirements.
Okay,
That's it.
is that it? Grant, we're not able to hear you very well. I was gonna text you, but I hope you can hear me. I know you're in the other room, so if you need to speak later, you might wanna come in. Okay, now we're down to the resolution on inclusiveness in the city of Harrison.
All right.
Hi, guys.
Do we, I guess I do have a question. Do we treat this like an ordinance? Do we need to make a motion to put it on the table?
Yes.
Or do?
I make a motion that council accept the resolution as presented. There's no need to read it by title only. So I'd make the motion simply that we adopt the resolution as presented in its current form.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion, please?
I would like to make, I will leave it to Mr. Boswell first.
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to say before Mr. Magnus is that the committee of both the city and the county met last Friday in special session here in council chambers. We worked to a compromise between the two groups. It was not, I don't think, the perfect resolution, but it is the resolution that takes a very positive and proper stand for Harrison and Boone County. Mr. Magnus?
I'd like to say in reviewing this, and I know that times are very divisive. We have a lot of issues before our country and our community. The spirit in which this was presented, the leadership that different individuals in our community have shown, all that withstanding, it's pretty simple for me as we look at this. We can get down to individual ideas or words or whatever that's presented in this, but it really comes down to whether or not, if we're all good people, and it's easy to say whether or not you support one thing or the other, but our community is looking at us. And with the quorum court coming together and working like we have, it may not be perfect. Even when Congress votes to go to war, there's one or two people that vote against the support of our military for one reason or the other. Like I say, our community right now is looking at us. I think it would behoove our community to show that we're together as a group and that we all support something like this. I thought it was good that we had the discussion in the committee meeting, but at the current time, I think it's time for everybody to stand up together. And this is not one of those situations where we quote Martin Luther King or John F. Kennedy or Ronald Reagan. This is our community, and we need to stand up in front of the world and denounce what other people see in our community as a negative. We know what our community is made of. I think it's time that we at least publicly state that. I'll leave it at that.
Nice statement.
Very well said. Anyone else want to comment?
I will refer to my previous comments. I do support denouncing racism. I do not support the legislation.
Okay. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
You do have some in the public that are asking if the joint resolution could be read.
Sure, absolutely.
Would you like me to do that, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, go right ahead. I have one here, but you go.
Also, it's important to note that the word tolerance was the terminology that in both committees we felt that it needed to be removed, and in the process of getting it removed from the title, we failed to take it out in two other areas in the body of that resolution. So it's all, the word tolerance has been removed from everything. So if you will, a resolution by the Harrison City Council promoting inclusiveness and mutual respect, denouncing all forms of racism, hate, and bigotry, and encouraging the Arkansas legislature to introduce and pass comprehensive hate crimes legislation. Whereas the Harrison City Council joins the Boone County Quorum Court and surrounding municipalities in declaring that our community is kind and loving. And whereas in a kind and loving community, there is no place for racism, hate, and bigotry. And we unequivocally denounce and repudiate all forms of racism, hate, and bigotry when and where they may appear. Now therefore may it be resolved that the Harrison City Council together with the support of our community, resolves to promote inclusiveness and mutual respect, denounces all forms of racism, hate, and bigotry, and encourages the Arkansas legislature to introduce and pass substantive, comprehensive hate crimes legislation, and that the Boone County Quorum Court commits its support to the same.
All right. Jeff, is there any questions from your folks?
Can I address yours? Can I speak, or is this all just city council at this point?
Jerry, you have an audience member that would like to speak?
Sure, and we were planning on inviting the audience, but go ahead and.
Well, I'll wait.
Go ahead.
Okay.
We come to the mic, please. It looks like it. Is that Eddie?
That's Eddie.
Eddie Bartlett.
So,
Yeah, hi, Eddie.
guys, this is a very important thing for our community. It really and truly is. And I stand here with over a decade of experience working on this issue actively. And there's several of us in this room that have been active in this quest for some time. As we travel to other communities and we interact with people, there is a reluctance to share where we're from. And it's true. And I know that there's some people in this community that don't believe that. Well, I'm going to ask you, do they go and travel? And are they in Little Rock? Are they in other communities? I was in Breckenridge, Colorado, and ran into it. And when I told the people where I was from, they was like, oh, that's the most racist town in America. Well, I'm here to tell you it's not. I'm from somewhere else. I'm from the Delta. And Harrison, Arkansas is nothing like the Delta. It's nothing like the racism that does exist in some of our other areas. It is absolutely unfair to me, my family, and our fellow citizens to be labeled what we're labeled because we have 17 or 20 neighbors that live in a neighboring community. So much so that there's a Facebook post out there right now from someone out of the Green Forest School District that defended us because they have traveled through this community and they have had people of varying racial backgrounds play on their soccer teams, and we've been nothing but loving to them. So why can't we, as a group, lead? It's time to lead. It's time to get on board. And sometimes, I'm a leader. I've been a leader in this community for a long time. Sometimes it's a very lonely place to be because you're leading because you know what's best for the group. And I just implore you guys to look deep and understand this is much deeper than your own personal feelings. This is much deeper than just a little bit of this that doesn't match exactly what you want it to. This is bigger than that. This is a great point in time and a point of reference, and where we as a community can stand up and say, we really and truly don't. And here's where we've drawn the line of where we do not stand for this. But it's real easy today for someone with a phone and an agenda to come into our community and paint us in a picture that doesn't exist. A guy stood on a street corner for 3 days to get 2 minutes worth of video footage, and he speaks for us because we don't speak for ourselves. Absolute shame that we've not spoken for ourselves over this many years. Do we need to figure out how to get rid of a billboard? Absolutely. I don't know how to do that legally because they do have a First Amendment right. But we as a community have to come together, and we're going to have to be the voice on the other side. And we're going to have to speak it 100 times louder than the negative is, because the media and the ones that want to hate us, they've got so much more power in that voice than we do. So let's say it loud, and I just appreciate y'all's support.
Thanks, Eddie.
Hey, thank you very much. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? Okay.
Yes.
I would like to share.
There's one more. There's one more.
Yeah. Come up, please.
My name is James Widener. I'm on the quorum court, and I'm probably the only one on the quorum court that opposes this. I agree with everything that's been said here, and especially with what Mitch Magnus has said, that we don't need hate crime legislation. That's an infringement on our rights, and it's just the first step as we go along through life, and because no one knows my thoughts except God himself. As a matter of fact, I have trouble discerning my own thoughts sometimes.
Mr. Widener, I apologize for interrupting you. I didn't say I was against the hate crimes legislation, and in fact, we have federal hate crimes legislation, and I've been told that Arkansas is one of only 3 states that don't have it. I don't know what form that will take. If that keeps me from saying that I'm against racism, bigotry of any kind, and discrimination, then I'll take whatever they pass, because at that time, that'll be a legislative effort on behalf of people that I can speak with in our government. I am for some sort of hate crimes legislation. Whatever that form takes, I don't know. I simply know that I'm in support of this resolution simply because of the spirit of the people in the community that have come together, the quorum court as well. And I embrace opposing views and respect them for their thoughts. But I want to pass this resolution so that I can stand up and say, this is what my community believes. This is how my mother taught me to behave. And, you know, I don't know what form that legislation, and I don't want to get tied up on the legislation. I'm tied up in the spirit of the resolution. So I'm just making that
Okay,
clear.
we differ in that respect. I totally do not support the legislation.
Understood.
But I agree totally with what was said in the resolution.
Yes, sir.
With the exception of that.
Okay, James, thank you. Thank you. I'll make some closing remarks on this issue. I've been working on this issue for 40 years here in Harrison, and I am proud of Harrison, Arkansas, and I'm honored to be your mayor. And I'm hoping that tonight is going to be the start of a very historic event that's going to happen over the next week. We have people with us tonight that I want to recognize. This resolution started with the Harrison Regional Chamber of Commerce, and I believe we have Bob Largent and Melissa Collins. They have worked endlessly on this matter, and then when we came together with the county and the city, and I believe we have Brian Snavely in the back, who chairs the County Law Enforcement Office Committee, and then Fred Wool is over there, that also, those two joined Bill Boswell and Grant Ragland to put this together. And so this, I'd also like to say, Fred Wool told me something today that made so much sense, because I think we all know Fred. And Fred said that, you know, there just sometimes you have to compromise. Sometimes it can't be the perfect resolution, but he's on board, and compromise is one of the big reasons why. So folks, we're going to call for a roll call vote, and like I said, this is going to be a historic evening. It already was with the public safety building, and it's kind of ironic that right behind an $8 million public safety building, we're going to top that with a resolution of this magnitude. So with that said, roll call.
Heath Kirkpatrick.
Yes.
Joel Williams.
Yes.
Wayne Combs.
No.
Chris Head.
No.
Mary Jean Krieger.
Yes.
Mitch Magnus.
Yes.
Linda DeWall.
Yes.
Bill Boswell.
I will proudly be the last member of the council to vote yes and approve this resolution.
Way to go.
Thank you. Nice job, everybody.
be proud of yourself tonight. Grant, do you need to read that, or is that just?
He's already read it once.
Okay.
It's adopted.
All right, it's official.
And I'm done.
You are. All right, we're going back to Mitch with July financials.
Luke, didn't have them quite ready. I don't think you were still working on July financials. Is that correct, Luke?
That is correct. Yeah, we're almost done with them. We should have them first part of next week.
Okay. In the June financials, just as a reminder, we had a budgeted deficit of $213,000 and an actual deficit of $135,000. So we're $78,000 ahead thus far for the year. Luke, do you have any idea where we're going to land for July at all?
Not right offhand. We should be a little bit ahead of that with all the sales tax, although we don't get our franchise fees until September, but we still should be approximately that far ahead of budget. So
okay.
Not a whole lot of change. We should be about that. Of course, with sales tax going up, we're kind of covering any shortfalls that we have in July. So I expect that to be a little bit better as far as the difference between the budget deficit and the regular deficit. But as far as an exact number, I don't have that. A reminder again that October is kind of when we catch everything up with all the property taxes. So that's when we should start seeing more of a kind of back to normal. With sales tax, we could end up close to a break-even point. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. Won't know anything really for the next couple months until we get August sales tax numbers. But we're hopeful right now, and I'll just keep reporting as we know.
Okay. And that will take us to the next item, and there's no vote on the financials, of course. The next thing is a budget amendment. What we have here is Wade is needing to have a budget amendment line item changed due to a permit that we need to prepare for. Most of that is an environmental survey and questionnaire we have to complete, and the items were related to that. Wade, any comments?
No, I think you covered that quite well. We'd be happy to answer any questions if the council had them.
Okay, with that said, Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion for approval of this budget amendment for the line item going from $8,000 to $15,500.
Second.
Okay, got a motion? Second?
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that's good. Let's go on to, we're down to, looks like Mary Jean Krager. Hello,
Yes.
Mary Jean.
I need my chief,
Is he here?
Grady, in here.
Okay,
He has requested a mutual aid police protection agreement as such. Chris will be here momentarily, I'm sure.
Since Mary Jean has a chief, she says it's my chief. Can I have one too?
No, I'm selfish. That is my chief.
He has two chiefs.
Yes,
Come on, Chris.
I'm right here.
Sheriff.
We have a mutual aid police protection agreement. And
Was
if
that
we,
Roy Marcus snuck in there?
Yes.
and if there's any question, does any of the council have any questions about his proposed agreement?
Absolutely not. I've met with Chris and talked to him, and I'm 100% behind this.
Anyone in the audience? Then I make a motion that we
Mary Jean.
pass this.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, got a motion and a second, and I'm really not sure where I am right now. I'm kind of excited about passing the resolution, so I'm gonna look mutual aid agreement. Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay,
Thank you all very much. And
thank you.
Tim Robertson and Chief Deputy Roy Martin are here with the Sheriff's Department, and we've worked hard together on several things, and we're going to continue to do so as long as our administrations are with us. So we hope we can provide the best coverage and best security we can for the whole community and the county.
Chief Reddy,
Sir.
can I make one and ask you one question? Not only is this, the spirit of cooperation, as we've proven with Quorum Court and City Council come along, and now we have the police department, don't you think this will enhance the public safety significantly? Not just a little, but significantly.
Oh, yes, I do. I mean, we've got two agencies that we double our force. I mean, or almost double. Whatever we need, they know they can call on us and we can call on them. And we've already done that to some extent so far, and there's laws that allow that, but this makes it a lot easier. So we don't have to jump through so many hoops. I can call Tim or he can call me, and hey, I need some guys, and they're here.
And can I ask, Councilmember Wayne Cohn, as former chief of police, have you ever seen the cooperation between these agencies that we currently have?
Absolutely not, and that not only entitles this, but it entitles the 911 or the community dispatch, total dispatch. We tried that for years and it didn't work. These two gentlemen right here, we can't say enough about them. The work they're doing together is just a highlight for me in my career, period. So.
Thank you.
And I was a young guy when both of these went into law enforcement.
Did you change their diapers?
Almost.
He done a lot of things for Tim and I, that's for sure.
I do have one other question. Have we moved into the 911 yet?
All right, the sheriff's office communications are in 911, correct?
Yes.
And they had a few bugs to work out. They're working those out. Daniel, I actually had a meeting with him this morning, and as soon as they're squared away, we're moving one of our stations over there, make sure we got our bugs worked out. Once we do, the whole thing will be over there, and hopefully that'll be within the next couple of weeks.
I just need an update.
Or maybe less than that, so yeah, sure enough. Thank y'all.
Y'all keep up the good work. Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, Chris, thank you. All right, let's go down to Shonda. You with us still? Shonda Tappy?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you so much. Every year at this time, I come to the council to ask for confirmation of a board member. I'm pleased to say that my board in July voted for Nate Wilson to another term, and each board commissioner has a 5-year term. So I'm asking the council to please confirm Nate Wilson with a new term of September 1st, 2020 to September 1st, 2025.
Make a motion that we vote for this confirmation.
Great choice.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on Nate Wilson?
Who was the second?
Joel?
We have, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Shonda, I'm sorry we kept you all night for that. We could have probably gotten that out of, I see you're at home. You're next door right now for me.
Yeah,
Well, okay.
it's not a problem.
Thank you, Shonda.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your support.
Well, you have it. Folks, we're getting down to the end here. I want to make a few comments. Wade, are you still with us?
Yes.
Okay, hey Wade. Did you happen to get the numbers on Boone County today on Corona?
I did. Let me look that up again real quick.
You folks remember yesterday was a big day. We had 18 positive cases in Boone County. So the trend statewide is looking so much better, but locally we've hit a few bumps.
Yeah, Mayor, if you're ready.
Yeah.
Total cases increased by 9 to 301. Active cases increased by 7 to 64, while recovered cases, fortunately we had 2 more recovered cases. That brings that total to 236. There was a total of 59 tests reported for today. And so that's what's changed for Boone County.
Okay, Thank you, Wade. I think, I really hope that this is just 9 and 18. Those are big numbers. It was a week ago, we were down to 25 active cases, and we were heading down, and then we hit that bump. Hopefully that's temporary. I believe people in town are doing so much better than they were before, so hopefully we'll get through that. That leads me to my last comment. It was something I forgot about during the resolution. It was, like I said, it was kind of exciting. When this resolution was started, I received a letter from Melissa Collins, chairperson of the Chamber of Commerce. And one of the short paragraphs read, and I'm going to read it to you. It says, additionally, the directors believe it will be of great value for you and the Boone County judge to appoint and empower a joint committee group to identify opportunities and develop initiatives that will promote local diversity and inclusiveness. We will be pleased to help. So, with that said, I want to announce tonight that I will work with Judge Hathaway and the Chamber, and we will attempt to put together that committee. So if any of you, or if you know of anybody in the community that would like to serve on this, this committee, please let me know. With that said, any comments from the audience?
Mr. Mayor, we have a couple in the audience that are asking if Chief Grady has received any, or noticed any kind of threats online or anything to be taken seriously concerning bullying or threats online with the resolution.
No, we have not. As far as the resolution, we've not received any threats or any type of communication at all.
Okay.
Chris, what about any kind of planned protest or anything like that, you know?
There's one supposedly this Sunday at noon. We've not been contacted by anyone from the protest side. I have spoke with some parties from a Patriot, Arkansas Patriot side, asking us if there's anything they can do. I've had some good conversation with them, but as far as the protests or the protesters go, I've not spoke with any of those. So we'll wait and see what happens. Like I've always said, we plan for the worst in events like this and hope for the best. So the sheriff and I, we talk daily, and we will be here Sunday.
Okay, Chris, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, if there's nothing else, Mary Jean?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you all very much.